Hello everyone, and thank you for joining this lesson. In today's lesson, we're going to look at Jesma 005, that is Integrated Science. This paper has two sections, Section A and Section B. Section A carries 30 marks and Section B 40 marks. We're going to solve this paper fully, and therefore kindly stay up to the end. So without saying much, we're going to start with the first question. It reads, when a balloon is inflated with air inside, it takes the shape of the balloon. This is because gases have part A, no definite shape, B, straight shape, C, definite shape, then D, the ability to flow. So which one is the correct answer? So to start with, the ability to flow, this is related to liquids and not gases, and therefore this is not the correct answer. Gases don't have a definite shape, therefore that one is not true. Straight shape is not related to our question, therefore also this one is wrong. The correct option is A. Gases have no definite shape. This explains why gases are able to spread out and fill containers, and therefore gases don't have a definite shape. So for part 1, the correct answer is A. Let's continue to question number 2. During an experiment, an iron pin became red hot when heated. After some time, the pin regained its original color. These statements explain the above observation except the option A, change is physical, B, change is chemical, C, change is temporary, D, pin conducted heat. So which one is the correct answer to start with? Change is physical. That is true because no new substance is formed. If we go to C, change is temporary. That is true. Why do we say it is temporary? Because here you can read and it says after some time, the pin regained its original color, and therefore it is temporary, not permanent. It is reversible. Part D, pin conducted heat. That is true. Pin became hot due to heat conduction, and therefore option D is correct. So the one which is not the correct observation is the change is chemical. This is not a chemical change, because a chemical change, we know that new substances are formed, and therefore this is not a chemical change. For part 2, question number 2, the correct answer is B. Continue to question number 3. Which among the following symbols represent iron? So we have A, Fe, B, N, C, Ag, D, I. So which one represents the symbol for iron? So N is for nitrogen, not iron. Ag is for silver, not iron. Then also I is not for iron. So the correct symbol which represents iron is Fe, and therefore the correct option is A. Let's continue to question number 4. Ordinary fires are a class of fire which A, are ignited by oils, B, burn materials such as wood, cloth, and plastics, C, burn liquids, D, are ignited by combustible metals. So which class of fire? So to start with, D, are ignited by combustible metals. This is class D and not ordinary fire. Burn liquids, also this is a class B. Flammable liquids belongs to class B, not ordinary fire. And also A, ignited by oils, this is a flammable liquids class B and not ordinary fire. Therefore, the correct option is B, which says burn materials such as wood, clothes, and plastics. So that is a class which belongs to ordinary fire. So we continue to question number 5. Which of the following metals is a liquid at room temperature? Option A, gold, B, lithium, C, mercury, D, aluminium. So which one is a liquid at room temperature? To start with gold, gold is a solid at room temperature. Also lithium is a solid, and aluminium is a solid. And therefore, the only metal which is a liquid at room temperature from this given option is mercury. Mercury is a metal which is a liquid at a room temperature. That is why it is used in old thermometers. So mercury is a metal which is a liquid at a room temperature. Let's continue to question number 6. A teacher was teaching grade 8 learners on magnet. They concluded that a horseshoe magnet is stronger than a bar magnet, which is very true. This is because A, it is heavier than the bar magnet, hence making it stronger. Even that one is not true, not heavy. That is not a factor. We go to C, the internal structure is strong. That one is not the correct reason. D, the poles are next to each other. Then let us look at B. Its shape increases the surface area for the concentration of magnetic field. So for part D, the poles are next to each other. That is true, but B explains the effect better. And therefore, the correct answer is B, which says its shape increases the surface area for the concentration of magnetic field. That's why a horseshoe magnet is stronger than a bar magnet. Let us continue to question number 7. Which among the following elements is a metal? So how do you know metals? So this is grade 9 work. We know that metals have either 1 or 2 or 3 electrons in the outermost energy level. So the best way, if you don't know these elements, just write the elements from number 1 to number 20. Locate beryllium, phosphorus, chlorine, and carbon. Write the electronic configuration. Then from there, look at the outermost energy level. If it is 1, 2, or 3, then it is a metal. So from my choices here, chlorine is not a metal. Even carbon is not a metal. Phosphorus also is not a metal. And therefore, the only metal that is given is beryllium. Beryllium is a metal from these choices. So the correct answer for question number 7 is A, beryllium. Let us go to question number 8. The electronic arrangement belongs to a certain element. We have 2, 6. Each of the following is not a use of the element. So first of all, we need to know which element is this. So 2, 6, we add these electrons, 2 plus 6, we get 8. We know that the element which is number 8 is oxygen. And therefore, we need to look at which one of the following is not a use of the oxygen. We have A, respiration, B, germination by plants, C, making fertilizers, D, combustion. So to start with the respiration, that is true. It is used by organism for respiration, that is breathing. Germination by plants, that is also true. You know that oxygen support burning, therefore combustion is a use of oxygen. And therefore the one which is not correct is making fertilizers. Oxygen is not used to make fertilizers. Therefore, for number 8, the correct answer is C. Let us continue to question number 9. Which among the following choices best describes the term malleability? This is the ability for metals to A, reflect light and appear shining. B, be stretched into thin wires without breaking. C, be molten and combined with other metals to form an alloy. D, be flattened into thin sheets without cracking or breaking. So to start with, reflect light and appear shiny. This property is known as luster and therefore is not malleability. Be stretched into thin wires without breaking. This describes ductility, for example, copper wire, and therefore not malleability. Be molten and combined with other metals to form an alloy. This is visibility and therefore not malleability. The correct answer is D. Malleability is a property in which metals can be flattened into thin sheets without breaking or cracking. And a good example is aluminium. So let us continue to question number 11. So here we have a diagram. It's a diagram to answer question 10 and 11. So here we have a heat source, a metal rod, and then waxes, pins joined to the metal rod by wax. Number 10. What were the learners investigating? A. Electrical conductivity. B. Thermal conductivity. C. Melting of solids. D. Change of state. So to start with, it is not electrical conductivity. You don't have wires or even electricity or current. Melting of solids, that is true but not related to, this is not the aim of this experiment. And also change of state, that one is not true. Therefore, the correct one is thermal conductivity. This is how metals conduct heat. You can see here we have a source of heat and a metal rod. So they were testing or investigating what we call thermal conductivity. Number 11, what was the observation after some time? So after heating, what is the observation? Metal rod is going to conduct the heat, and therefore these pins are going to, the wax is going to melt and the pins will fall. The candle went off. That is not the observation. There was no change, not true. The wax did not melt. That one is not true. But see, the wax melted and the pins fell. So that is the correct observation after some time. So the metal rod is going to conduct heat, and then the wax is going to melt and these pins will fall down. Let us continue to question number 12. Magnesium and oxygen react to form A. Magnesium hydroxide. B. Magnesium oxide. C. Magnesium sulfide. And D. Magnesium chloride. So to start with, magnesium hydroxide, that is not the correct answer. Magnesium hydroxide is as a result of magnesium and water, not oxygen. Magnesium sulfide, not true. This is as a result of magnesium and sulfur. Magnesium chloride also, it is magnesium and chlorine. And therefore the correct answer is magnesium oxide. When you combine, when magnesium and oxygen react, they form what we call magnesium oxide. Let's continue to question number 13. Which among the following is not a way of softening hard water? Which one is not a way of softening hard water? A. Boiling. B. Use of chemicals. C. Recycling. D. Distillation. Yes, so we can boil to remove temporary water hardness. That is true. We can use chemicals like sodium carbonate, that is washing soda, to remove, to soften hard water. We can use even distillation method to soften hard water. But recycling is not a method of softening hard water. And therefore, for question number 13, the correct answer is C, recycling. Let us continue to question number 14 on the other side. Soap reacts with dash and dash ions to form insoluble substance called, so A, you have magnesium and sodium to form scum. B, calcium and magnesium to form scum. C, hydrogen and oxygen to form foam. D, magnesium and calcium to form foam. So to start with, you know that hard water contain magnesium and calcium ions. So where we have magnesium and sodium, this one is not true. Calcium and magnesium, and then hydrogen and oxygen, that one is not true. Magnesium and calcium, also this one. So we are left with B and D. So soap reacts with magnesium and calcium ion to form insoluble substance, which we call scum, not foam. And therefore the correct option is B, calcium and magnesium ions to form what we call scum. Number 15. Which among the following is not an application of hard water in day-to-day life? So we know that hard water has some uses. This is grade 9 work. A, used in brewery companies. B, as essential minerals for strengthening bones and teeth. C, best for domestic use. D, form protective layer on a plumbing system, hence preventing corrosion. So to start with, it is used in brewery companies. It is true. It improves the taste of beers and others. As essential minerals, yeah, that is true. You know that hard water has calcium and magnesium ions, so the calcium strengthens bones and teeth. Part D, forms protective layer on plumbing system, hence preventing corrosion. Yeah, that is true. It also prevents lead poisoning in lead pipes. And therefore the one which is not an application of hard water is best for domestic use. Hard water is not best for domestic use because it does not lather easily with soap, and therefore we're going to waste a lot of soap. There is formation of scum and also scaling in kettles and other appliances, and therefore it is not the best for domestic use. Continue to question number 16. The following are adaptations of leaf for photosynthesis. Which one is not? A, have extensive network veins. B, have a thick lamina to allow light to penetrate through. Underline the word thick. C, has a transparent and waterproof cuticle. D, broad and flattened lamina to increase the surface area. So to start with, which one is not? So A, they have extensive network veins. That one is true. B, has transparent and waterproof cuticle. Reason for being transparent is to allow light to penetrate to photosynthetic cells, and waterproof cuticle to prevent water loss through transpiration. D, broad and flattened lamina to increase the surface area for absorption of light. And therefore, the one which is not correct is they have thick. When you say thick, that is not true. They have thin lamina, not thick. And therefore, the correct option is B. It is not an adaptation for photosynthesis. Let's continue to question number 17. 17 here you have a diagram. They study the diagram below and answer the questions. So going to ask you a question, is this an animal cell or a plant cell? So the traces provided below are functions of the part marked A. Which one is not? So you can see A is pointing here. So from these options, we can see part B forms the site for dark reaction of photosynthesis, has enzyme which catalyze photosynthetic reaction. D contains chlorophyll which trap light for photosynthesis. You can see all talking about photosynthesis. So this structure, they're talking about the chloroplast. And therefore, which one is not is A. It acts as the storage for carbohydrates produced from photosynthesis. This, we know that the storage organ is the vacuole, and therefore A is not the correct function of the part marked A. Let's continue to question number 18. This is also grade 9 work. The experiment shown below was carried out by grade 9 learners. So here we have sodium hydroxide pellets. Now the function of these sodium hydroxide pellets is to absorb carbon dioxide present. So it showed that part A, light is a raw material for photosynthesis. Part B, chlorophyll is necessary for photosynthesis. Part C, water is a raw material for photosynthesis. And then D, carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. So to start with, all this A is not true, even B, and then C. So the correct one is carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. So we are using sodium hydroxide pellets to absorb carbon dioxide present, and therefore they were testing and investigating to know how carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis. Number 19. From the experiment 18 above, why did the learners use sodium hydroxide solution? I've already explained the function of sodium hydroxide is to absorb carbon dioxide present in the beaker, and therefore the correct answer is C, to absorb carbon dioxide present in the beaker. We continue to question number 20. Which among the following choices is not a mode of nutrition in animals? So we're talking about mode of nutrition in animals. So we have autotrophism, holozoic, saprophytic, symbiosis. So holozoic is true, is where organisms ingest and digest complex food substances. Saprophytic is where organisms feed on dead decaying matter, causing decomposition. And also symbiosis is an association where two organisms live together and mutually benefit from each other. And therefore, autotrophism is not a mode of nutrition in animals. Autotrophism is a mode in which organisms manufacture their own food, and therefore animals don't manufacture their own food. Let's continue to question number 21. During an integrated science lesson on different types of teeth, a learner noticed that tooth located between canine and molar. So this tooth is between canine and molar, had a cavity. The following are characteristics of the tooth, except, so when we locate the tooth that is between canine and molar, we know that it is a premolar. Therefore, we are looking at the characteristics of premolar. So A, used for grinding and chewing, that is true. It has two roots, that is true. And also part D, they are 8 in number, which is very correct. And therefore, the one which is not a characteristic of a premolar, it has chisel shaped. So chisel shaped is for incisors and not premolar. And therefore, the correct answer is C, which is saying has chisel shaped edges known as cusps. That one is not true. 22. Ingestion is a term commonly used in describing the process of digestion. Which among the statement defines ingestion? A. Using food molecules to build new food molecules. B. Getting rid of undigested food. C. Absorbing nutrients into the body. Then D. Taking food into the body. So to start with, ingestion means in, so into the body. And therefore, using food molecule to build new food molecules, that is not true. Getting rid of undigested food, that is egestion, not ingestion. Absorbing nutrients into the body, that one is absorption, therefore not ingestion. The correct answer is D. It is taking food into the body. Taking food into the body, we call it ingestion. Into. Let us continue to question number 23. The animal dentition shown below belongs to, so here we have a jawbone. So we have A, cow, B, cat, C, pig, D, bear. So you can see here we have on the upper jaw, there's no teeth. So we call it a horny pad. Also between the incisor and also the premolars, here we have a toothless gap, which we call diastema. So for cat, we know that cats have canines. You can see we don't have a canine tip here. Therefore, that one is not true. Even bear, and therefore these two are wrong. Even pig, that one is not for pig. And therefore, the correct answer is cow. Cow, they have a horny pad here and also a toothless gap. And therefore, the dentition is for a cow. Number 24. The following are agents of pollination. Which one is not? Know that agents of pollination are a natural power or organisms which aid in the process of transferring pollen grains. So we can have water, hydrophile, even insects and wind. These are agents of pollination. What about technology? Technology is not an agent of pollination. And therefore the correct answer is B, 24, technology. 25. Which statement correctly describes cross-pollination? It is the transfer of pollen grains from. So we're talking about cross-pollination. Know that we have two types of pollination. That is self-pollination and cross-pollination. So A, anther to stigma of the same flower, transfer of pollen grains from anthers to stigma of the same flower. B, anther to stigma of different flower of different plant. C, anther of one plant to stigma of another plant but of the same species. D, stigma of one plant to the anther of another flower but of the same species. So which one is describes cross-pollination? So to start with, A, the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of the same flower, that is self-pollination. B, a transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of a different flower of a different plant. So that is not pollination. When the plant is not the same, that is not pollination. So we remain with C and D. Transfer of pollen grains from anther of one plant to the stigma of another flower, but of the same species. In D, the transfer of pollen grains from stigma of one plant to anther of another flower, but of the same species. So pollen grains are always from the anthers, not stigma. So this one is not true. Therefore, the correct option is C. It is from the anthers to stigma of another flower, but of the same species. Continue to question number 26. A plant cell organelle that enhance the process of photosynthesis is called A, chlorophyll, B, nucleus, C, cytoplasm, D, chloroplast. So which one is the correct answer? To start with nucleus controls all the cell activity and therefore does not enhance photosynthesis. Cytoplasm is the site for chemical reaction. So mainly the two. So chlorophyll are the pigments which are found within the chloroplast. And therefore that one is not the correct answer. Correct answer is D, chloroplast. So chloroplast is the organelle that enhance the process of photosynthesis. Let's continue to question number 27. A substance that cannot be decomposed into simple substance by chemical or physical means is referred to as A compound, B atom, C molecule, D element. So we know that it is not a compound. Compound is where two or more elements are chemically combined, also not atom, not a molecule. Therefore, the correct option is D. It is referred to as an element. You cannot decompose it into simple substances by chemical or physical means. 28. The following are objects that possesses kinetic energy. So what is kinetic energy? This is energy possessed by moving bodies. So any moving body has what we call kinetic energy. So except A, raised hammer, B, moving air, C, falling water, D, windmill. So you can see moving air, it is moving, therefore it has kinetic energy. Falling water, also moving, kinetic energy. Windmill possesses kinetic energy, and therefore the one that is not true is a raised hammer. A raised hammer is not moving and therefore does not possess kinetic energy. In fact, it possesses what we call potential energy. And therefore for 28, the correct answer is A, raised hammer. 29. Which of the following factors increase the rate of rusting? So you're talking about increasing, that is accelerating the rate of rusting. A, oxygen and water. B, water and sodium chloride. C, sodium chloride and acidic conditions. D, temperature and oxygen. You know that most students will go for option A, oxygen and water. This one is not the correct answer. These are the conditions for rusting, but the question is asking factors that accelerate, that is the factors which increase the rate of rusting, and therefore A is not the correct answer. B, water and sodium chloride, not true. D, temperature and oxygen, not true. And therefore the one which is the correct option is C, which says sodium chloride and acidic conditions. This one accelerates the rate of rusting due to presence of what we call electrolytes and reaction. So for question number 29, the correct answer is C. The final question in section A. The following diagrams were used by grade 8 learners to describe the concept of pressure. Which one correctly describes the pressure in liquids increases with depth? So here we have some diagrams A, B, C, D. So to start with C, you can see the pressure, the holes are at the same level and also the pressure. So this one is not correct. Even D. What about B? B, it is not true. The one which shows that pressure increase with depth in liquids is diagram A. So you can see here at the bottom, the pressure, the water is jetting out with the higher pressure as compared to the upper hole. So this is the correct diagram which shows that pressure in liquids increases with depth. So that is the end of section A. So if you're still following, kindly consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't subscribed, and also like and comment. Like so that other students like you can benefit and gain more. So we're going to look at section B, which is 40 marks. So to start with, here we have a table. The table below represents some elements and their proton number, neutron number, and mass number. So you have element A, B, C, number of protons, number of neutrons, atomic number, and mass number. So calculate the number of neutrons in element C. So we know that we need to use this formula, that the mass number A is equals to the atomic number, that is the number of protons, plus the number of neutrons. So if you want to get the number of neutrons, making n the subject of the formula, so n will be taking z to the other side, it becomes a minus. It is atomic number minus, it is the mass number minus the atomic number, which is z. And therefore, for element C, we see the number of protons is 17. Therefore, its atomic number is 17. So to get the number of neutrons, it will be the mass number, which is 35, minus 17. So subtract these two, 35 minus 17. we get it is 18. And therefore, the number of neutrons here, it is 18. Continue to question number B. From the table above, state an element that is stable and give a reason. So for these, the number of protons are 10. You can write the electron configuration for this element. So for 10, it will be 2 and then 8. For 12, it will be 2, 8, 2. For 17, it will be 2, 8, and then 7. So the one which is most stable is element A. You can see element A here. And the reason is because it has the maximum number of electrons in the outermost energy level. So you can see the outermost energy level is full. It has 8 electrons and therefore it is the most stable. Let us go to question number 17. Write the electron configuration of element B. So B, we have already covered it. So it has 12 protons. So you know that the first energy level takes a maximum of 2 electrons. So you start with the 2. So 12 minus 2 remains the 10. So 2 and then you go to 8. So 2 plus 8 is 10. You remain with 2. Therefore it is 2, 8, 2. Part D. State one use of element C. So element C, number of protons is 17. You know that the element number 17 is chlorine. Therefore the function of chlorine is it can be used as disinfectant. That is true. Also can be used as water treatment agent, can be used to treat water. So those are the uses of element C, which is chlorine. We continue to question number 32. State 3 importance of photosynthesis. So 3 marks. So importance of photosynthesis, point number 1, enables plants to make their own food. That one is true. Enables plants to produce food for animals. And point number 3, production of oxygen, which is used by organism for respiration. Could also add another one, regulate carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, hence reducing global warming. So those are the importances of photosynthesis. Go to question number 33. When carrying out an experiment to test presence of starch in a leaf, learners did the following. Give a reason for each of the A, B, and C activities carried out. Part A, boiled the leaf, 2 marks. The reason for boiling the leaf is to kill the cells present and prevent any further chemical reactions. So we boil the leaf to kill the cells present and prevent any further chemical reactions. Part B, boil the leaf in methylated spirit using a water bath. The reason for using a water bath was used because methylated spirit is highly flammable. So to prevent fires and burns, that's why we use a water bath, because it is highly flammable. Part C, washed the leaf in warm water. The reason for washing is to soften the leaf. So the leaf was washed in warm water to soften the leaf. So those are those are 6 marks. So that is how you can explain direct to the answer, direct to the point. Question number 34, define the following terms. Parasitism, and then B, holozoic. So parasitism is a feeding association in which one organism, the parasite, feeds on or obtains nutrients on another organism, which we call the host. That is what we call parasitism. Holozoic is where organisms ingest, digest, and assimilate solid, complex food substances. That's what we mean by holozoic. These are the modes of nutrition under heterotrophism. So that is the answer to question number 34. Let us continue to question number 35. The diagram below shows an example of and then here we have a picture. So I know most students will say this is a fish, others will say this is a piranha. So this is an example of what? So we're going to look at let me zoom, we're going to look at the teeth. Look at the teeth. You can see the teeth the shape is the same, and also the size is the same. And therefore, this is an example of a homodont. So you'll say The diagram below shows an example of a homodont. Don't say fish. A homodont. And the reason is because you can see it has teeth of same size and shape. Let us go to question number 36. State 3 adaptations of flesh eaters' dentition to their feeding habits. So we know that flesh eaters, they feed on flesh. So the first point is they have long and sharp-pointed canines for tearing and seizing prey. That one is correct. You can even see in animals like dogs or even cats, they have long and sharp-pointed canines. Part B, they have what we call carnassial teeth. This is a special type of teeth which is used for slicing meat and cracking bones. And then finally, we have the teeth are well spaced to prevent flesh from getting stuck in between. And therefore, those are the adaptations of flesh eaters' dentition to their feeding habits. We have so many, but I've given those 3 points. Continue to question number 37. 7 is asking the diagram representing, draw a diagram representing a flower and label at least 4 parts. So this I know you can do it. So you're going to draw just a flower, then you label in 4 parts. So you can label the petals, the sepals, you can even label the anthers, the stigma, the style, the filament. So for this question, I've skipped it, but I know you can do it. So try and label, draw, and try and label. So you can see 4 parts, it's 4 marks. This meaning each part has 1 mark. We continue to question number 38. During a practical lesson, learners mixed sodium hydroxide pellets with water. On holding the beaker, they discovered it was warm. State the energy stored in atom of sodium hydroxide pellets. So the key point is discovered it is warm after the reaction, and therefore the energy stored is heat energy. Heat energy. So the heat energy is the one which is stored in sodium hydroxide pellets. So you score 1 mark. Continuing to question number 39. This is grade 8 work. So the diagram below was set by grade 8 learners while investigating types of changes that occurs in substances. So here we have hydrated cobalt 2 chloride, and then you heat it, boiling tube. You have a delivery tube, colorless liquid. Then you have a beaker. Name apparatus labeled A. So A, this one we know the name is called the delivery tube. So for A, the name is called the delivery tube. So the name is called the delivery tube. Part B, state the observation when Roman 1, hydrated cobalt 2 chloride was heated, 2 marks. In Roman 2, colorless liquid was added to cobalt 2 chloride. So we know that when hydrated means it has water. So in any time you see hydrated copper 2 sulfate or hydrated cobalt 2 chloride, hydrated means it has water. So when you heat, this water will be removed. That is what is collected here, the colorless liquid, which we call it a distillate. And therefore, the observation made is that the color changes from so hydrated cobalt 2 chloride is pink in color. So it is pink, from pink, and then when you heat, changes to blue. So when you heat, the color changes from pink to blue. So that is the observation. So on heating, the color changed from pink to blue, or the color changes from pink to blue. But Roman 2, when colorless liquid was added to the cobalt 2 chloride, so the color is going to change from blue to pink. The color changed from from blue to pink. So that is an observation. So you can say here the color not changes. You can say the color changed. So you can use the color changed from pink to blue when on heating. Then when adding the liquid, the color changed from blue to pink. So that is a the observation that is going to be made in this experiment. Then part C, aim the type of change that occurred. So the type of change, so you can see it is a reversible, it is not a permanent. Therefore you can see this is a temporary chemical change. So it is a temporary chemical change. So the type of change is a temporary chemical change. Continue to part D. State 3 characteristics of the change that occurred. So which are the characteristics of the change? So I'm going to give you one, and then Roman 2 and Roman 3 can tell us in the comment section. So one characteristic is that the change is reversible. What do I mean by that? Because you can see on heating, the color changed from pink to blue. And then when you add the colorless liquid, the color changed from blue to pink. So it regained its original color. So the change is reversible. So that is the first characteristic. So you can add 2 and 3. Tell us in the comment section which are the other 2 characteristics of temporary chemical change. Enlighten your friend, enlighten your peer in the comment section. So number 40, the diagram below represents a setup used by learners to separate components of a mixture. So you have a mixture, you have the thermometer, B mixture, you have the Levy condenser, and then here we have a part labeled A. So to start with the first question, the method used to separate the components of the mixture, name the method. So the method, this one, you call it fractional distillation. So fractional distillation. The name is called fractional distillation. Why is it fractional? Because you can see here we have what we call fractionating column. So the apparatus labeled B, we call it fractionating column. It has beads. So that's why we call it fractional distillation. For simple distillation, there is no fractionating column. So that is how easily you can differentiate between simple and fractional. So for simple, there is no fractionating column. For fractional, it has what we call fractionating column. Name the parts labeled. So Roman 1 here we call it a distillate. So we call it a distillate. Call it a distillate. And then part B, the apparatus is called fractionating column. So distillate, then B, fractionating column. Then finally part C, name a mixture that can be separated using the method above. So we know that we can separate many mixtures by fractional distillation. So I'm going to name one. So example is ethanol and water. We can use this method. So a good example is ethanol and water. So this is a mixture which can be separated by fractional distillation. That is the end of this video lesson. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing and also liking this video. Best wishes. If you have any question or you want a paper which we can cover next, let us know in the comment section. See you in the next video. Bye bye.